Hey, this is Pastor Kevin here. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, for being part of Lighthouse Kids, and especially our kids classes as we kick things off for fall 2023. Really excited to have you part of the ministry, and these videos here will act as a training for you to know what to do if you're new, or there are some new things I'll introduce here if you've been doing this for months or years. The very last thing on this video is just for nursery workers. So we'll do some things with technology, with check-in, dismissal, and even discipline. But the last thing, just for you nursery workers. But thank you for watching this, and thank you for being a part of our kids ministry here at Lighthouse. One of the new things that we have this year that all Lighthouse Kids volunteers will receive is a general training manual. We'd like to kind of standardize some things that we do kind of across the board from Wednesday night to Sunday morning. This will kind of act for you as kind of a how-to on different things. And I'm going to just kind of walk through some things. You should receive this in your email. There'll be some hard copies at the check-in table also. But I really encourage you to just read through all of this so you know safety things in general, kind of expectations of what it means to be part of this ministry. First off, you'll see in the very first page is that we have our purpose and vision for Lighthouse Kids. Similar to our mission at the church here is that we desire that to help children see the light of Christ and be the light of the world. Deuteronomy 6 verses 5 and 7 talks about parents and the whole church loving God with their entire being and then impressing those things that God says upon their kids at all times. And we really believe here at Lighthouse that parents and families and grandparents play a vital role in doing that. And you as volunteers get to kind of come alongside them. It's a great quote from Rod Reno. God's primary plan of evangelism and discipleship is from a parent to child. That is the order with which God created the world. His primary plan for spreading the good news of Jesus Christ is the family, beginning with the parent-child relationship. And you get to encourage that, equip our parents to do that, kind of come alongside them in that important time on Sunday morning. Now, this manual here kind of walks through our different ministries from events to nursery to Wednesday night, and you can kind of read through those if you're interested. For you that are watching this for our kind of fall training for our kids classes, you can look at our kind of nursery, kids classes ministry, and things like that. And then just some good resources too. If you're a parent, Parenting in the Pew is a great resource. We love that our kids go to church with their parents first, like the worship service, to sing songs with them and to be there in the worship service, and then come to you guys for some teaching time. So you guys as volunteers, what are expectations or things we'd love to see from you? This is on page 4. Volunteers that serve with joy. If a new parent comes or a kid comes, they're kind of scared or don't know, into a room and the workers are bored or on their phone or don't want to be there, what kind of message does that send, right? But if you are filled with a joy, that this kind of Psalm 100, serve the Lord with gladness, come ready to do that, to be joyful and having fun with our kids. We also want to have volunteers that serve with excellence, to do their job. They're serving well. Colossians 3, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not just for man. You're here to serve these kids, but here unto God as you get to serve and do that. And with humility. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. And I know it can be hard sometimes when you're having a bad morning or grumpy, but we'd love to have volunteers that serve without grumbling and to avoid needless disputes. whether it's with people working alongside of you, or even with the students or kids you're working with. We want to have kids that are just, they love being around the volunteers because they are just serving wholeheartedly and joyful. All of you who are watching this, you've kind of gone through that process of being asked, or this is the equipping part of it. But background checks are a big thing for us too. We want to have everybody background checked who is working in our ministry. One thing that you will notice that's maybe a little bit different is subbing or substitutions. And a phrase you'll see in here is switching and not ditching. We're going to provide you with some resources to switch. There'll be some papers emailed to you and posted with names and emails and phone numbers of people you can switch with if you need to. If it's last minute, Saturday night, Sunday morning, please text or call a staff member and let us know. But if it's during the week, you kind of realize ahead of time you need to switch, you are responsible for doing that and then letting staff know what that switch will be. So you can call somebody or text somebody, ask them if they can switch a Sunday with you, and do that with them, and then contact us. More things on here on page 5 you can kind of look through on your own how to deal with. But then on page 6, again, just a comment about kind of criticism or being helpful. I'd love for you to kind of give feedback on how things are going, but this is just a good rule if I'm going to think through of, is the critiquing, is it this think idea, is it true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, kind even? Also important to look at in this training manual is about illness, whether it's kids that are displaying illness or yourself. We've got it kind of listed out here, what to do, how to assess yourself or your kids or the kids that are with you in Lighthouse Kids classes. Use your best judgment and let us know if you wake up on a Sunday morning or whatever and cannot be there. Also on page 8, a really important thing for you to read through and think through is safety for our kids. We want our kids' classes to be fun, but safe. Safe for parents, volunteers, kids. That means background checks. That means knowing what your emergency route is from your room, having correct ratios, doing bathrooms appropriately. There's even a section on here about reporting abuse. That's something we want to take very seriously in talking to staff about, or knowing what to do in certain situations. There's a great website on here, Stewards of Children or Darkness to Light, that you can look through. I really encourage you to do that, just to be aware that, there's people in this world that sometimes make mistakes, sometimes sin, and we want to be careful of that. The very last thing, maybe one of the most important things, is we want to share the gospel with our kids. Maybe it's nursery kids, maybe it's 5th graders, but there's a thing here on page 11, the very last page. Walk through it with yourself, know it with the kids, share that with each of our kiddos, that they might know the gospel, that come see the light of Christ, and then be the light of the world in their schools, in their homes, and their neighborhoods. Something else good to know for you guys doing kids classes is about our technology. We use a program called Planning Center, and we use it for different applications in the church, but you'll see it for scheduling. As you are scheduled to serve, you'll receive emails, usually about every 3 months, every quarter, you'll receive an email asking for blockout dates. It's really important that you fill those out as we kind of plan ahead to schedule people, that you respond to that email, fill out your blockout dates. It helps us to not schedule you when you're on vacation or can't work. We try to have volunteers work once a month, or maybe twice a month if it happens that way. But if you've never received emails from Planning Center, please let me or staff know, and we'll get you set up with that. Also, when you, each week, it's your turn to serve, you will receive an email, kind of reminder, probably about Wednesday or Thursday it'll go out. And it should take you to Planning Center services that should kind of look like this. I don't know if it's going to show up on your screen as well, but this is kind of what my version looked like. And for whatever room you are teaching in, you can click on the little paperclip here, and it'll pop up your lesson plan. So you can just click that right there, download your lesson plan for the week, and study it ahead of time, hopefully, and kind of see what you're required to do. Now, also in each room, the nursery, pre-K, K1, 2nd through 5th, we have a tablet. I believe the 2nd through 5th grade has an iPad. The rest of the rooms have tablets that look like this. And when you come in on a Sunday, it should have something that looks like this. Now, I just kind of made up a test one here. I just have one kid checked in, but you can use this to check your kids in. You can use this to check them out, which I'll go over in just a minute in another video. You can also message parents if there's a concern, or if you're in the nursery especially, to let them know that, hey, kid needs some attention or is doing fine, needs a diaper change, things like that. So I'll just kind of show you here. So one, if you click on ready, it'll usually pop a roster up of kids that have come the last few weeks. You can just kind of press them and check them in, and it'll print a name tag for them at our check-in desk. Now, if you're at this list of here, say I want to message James's parent, I click this little message icon, and yep, it pops up right there with some questions and things. And even, yep, my wife and I are on there, and you can click one of those and message one of us, and it'll text us and give us a little message there. And then also, you press this little button here, it'll check out the kids. Encourage you guys, use our system to check out kids, especially our younger kids, so we know that they got to their parents okay. And you can always go to checked out and see, oh, there's James, we checked him out at this time. If there is an emergency and you need to leave the room, or you need to take a poll of who's in your room with you, take these with you. This is your roster, and contact a safety member. They should be walking around the foyer with some little headphones in. Really encourage you to take advantage of our safety team people, and need help, ask them. They're around to do that. Part of being at Lighthouse Kids is checking in, checking out for safety reasons. I'm going to ask you guys something new to do, and that is to join us at 9:30 a.m. to go over a huddle type meeting. Make sure we're all there, volunteers are there, know what's going on that morning, see who's missing, what gaps we have. We'll meet at 9:30 a.m. in the pre-K room. We'll just check in, we'll pray, and then you can go to your classroom, especially if you're nursery. I'd love for you to be there by 9:45 as parents are there to drop their kids off before service. Or if you're teaching in the loft in the 2nd to 5th grade room, or K1, just make sure you know where your stuff is in your classroom, go there ahead of time, and then go to worship and join us in the sanctuary. You can also go to our check-in table and get your own volunteer sticker. If you go and use the iPad that is up there, or the laptop, you can tell them you're a volunteer, and they can check you in as a volunteer in your room. Should give you a little sticker. I encourage you to, like, we've got Lighthouse Kids t-shirts. Some of you had them from VBS. We have extra ones here. If you want to wear one of those on a Sunday, let the kids' parents know that you're a volunteer for that day. Hey, do that. Wear a Lighthouse Kids t-shirt and a sticker. Let them know that you are there. You are the face of the church for a lot of new families. a lot of kids, a lot of parents. And so I really encourage you, like, be friendly and welcoming, and don't be on your phone. Be there early, ahead of time. We want to come across as that we know what we're doing and why we're there. We're joyful to be there. So please be there on time and early. Now, every kid who comes to your class should have a sticker on, and there should be a matching sticker that their parent or guardian has. Now, you can use your tablet or iPad if you find a kid that doesn't have a sticker to get them a sticker. You can just use your tablet in the Ready section, and you can search their name or press on their name, and it'll print a new sticker for them at our check-in table. So send one of your volunteers, your helper, to go to the check-in table to pick that up. So first thing you do when you get to your classroom with your kids, pre-K, K1, 2nd through 5th, is take attendance. We don't want to lose kiddos. We don't want to not know where kids are. And so please, with your tablet, make sure they're there, kind of call the roster. We'll also have some up in the 2nd through 5th grade room, kind of a big poster board with attendance on it. I think we have kind of flip cards in the pre-K and K1 room. We want to just reward kids for being there. And so you can write their name down, check them if they're there, and we have prizes for kids that are there for so many weeks. We also have some things like fidgets and M&Ms that you can use for your kids, for maybe it's discipline or just to kind of keep their hands busy or treat rewards. Dismissal, 2 through 5 kids, they can be released by themselves when you're done, when church is done. However, new families especially, we want to just kind of treat them special. And so the hope is to kind of put a little special sticker or star on their sticker so you know that they're new. You want to ask you that Sunday if anybody's new. And maybe wait with them up in the loft 2nd through 5th grade room for parents to come and get them. All other rooms, parents will need, or guardians, to come and pick their kids up. And they'll need to give you or show you the sticker and match that number. And need to wait for an adult to come pick them up. And so you can even use our tablets then to check them out, so we know that kids were picked up by the right responsible person.
Hi everybody, I'm Kristen Kapuzinski, and I am a teacher. I've taught for, I guess this will be my 17th year of teaching. So Pastor Kevin just asked me to kind of go over some discipline and some classroom management tips that some of you probably already know and use, but it's always good to have more in your toolbox. So if you have more questions, you can obviously find me at church sometime, but I'll kind of run through a couple tips that could help your day in Sunday school run a little smoother. First thing is just some general tips. One of them is when you have a kid that's just acting up, proximity is key. Like, get your extra person or your other volunteer to kind of sit by them or move them closer to you. And then another tip is just, if they aren't hurting somebody and you're still able to teach, ignore. Like, don't worry about the fidgety things or them moving constantly and things like that. Just ignore unless it's something that's bothering you to the point you can't teach or they're being unsafe. Another thing that you can remember is that positive reinforcement is way more effective than negative. So the constant hounding and saying no and those kind of things aren't going to be as effective as just the positive. So for example, every room should have M&Ms in there, so you can give them an M&M when you see they're doing the right thing, especially if you compliment other kids and say, oh, I like how Joey's sitting, I'm gonna give him an M&M. So that will be more effective than just saying, please sit. And so another idea for positive reinforcement is complimenting kids around them when they do something right. Like, I'm going to pass out the papers. I can't do it till everyone's sitting. Oh, I really like how Kristen is sitting right now with their hands in her lap and her voice off, just complimenting them on the things that the other kids that are doing the right thing. That will motivate the kids to do that as well. And then finally, just when the kid that maybe is causing the trouble isn't doing the right thing, when you finally see them doing the right thing, just really make sure you're pointing that out to them. So you want to have more positive than negative interactions with them. So find the good and find the positive in what they are doing when they go to that. And then another tip would be just constantly repeating, having the kids repeat directions to you. So if you're wanting them to move to the carpet and get some crayons, then you say, first we're gonna move to the carpet. Second, we're gonna get crayons. And then say, repeat it back to me. What are we gonna do first? We're gonna move to the carpet. What are we gonna do second? We're gonna get the crayons. That will just make sure that they know exactly what to do, and it will make the time go faster. Another tip would be attention getters. So a lot of times in the classroom, we use different ways to get their attention rather than just shouting. So one of them is just clapping a pattern. So if I go, then the kids repeat. You can do any pattern, doesn't matter. And then another one is, if you can hear me, touch your nose. If you can hear me, stick out your tongue. That kind of helps with the stop talking, and it gets their attention without having to yell. Another one is you would say as a teacher, flat tire, and then they would all go shh to make it sound like a flat tire, and then it gets their attention and quiets them. You can say 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and then they would repeat back 1, 2, eyes on you. And then the last one is I say peanut butter, and then they say jelly. There's a bunch more like that. If you Google it, you can find a ton, but those are just quick ones that I like to use that get their attention without having to raise your voice. And you might have to teach some of them because like all of us may use different things. So when you start your class, you can say, today we're going to do, every time I say flat tire, you're going to say shh, and that will show me that you're ready to listen to my directions. And then every classroom should have fidgets in there, and I bought some more as well. So you can use those for those kids that just really can't sit still. But my tip with that would be, then you should also offer it to everybody. Don't just give it to the kid that you think needs it. I think just at the beginning, you'd say, hey, we have this bucket of fidgets. Everyone can pick one right now if you want it, but you have to put the parameter of they can only get one and they cannot switch it the whole time. And 2, that they, if they don't use it appropriately, you take it. So just start the day off with, we have the fidgets. Everyone can grab one now. This is your chance. If you don't get one, that's fine. But once you pick one, that's the one you'll have for the whole time. And if you use it inappropriately, I will take it. So that should help keep the routine and make sure they're using it appropriately. And then my other tip, just general other management thing, is just counting down really does help kids stay on task and help things moving. So if you're like went from a game and you're trying to get them back to the carpet, just 10, counting down kind of thing, they'll do that. And you don't have to start at 10, you can start at 5 or wherever you want to start. And then general discipline. The number one tip I have for that is when a kid is acting up, just giving them choice. They want control, and that's really what it's about usually. So if you give them a choice that's controlled under 2 things that you can live with, it may not be what you want exactly, but 2 things you can live with, then do that. So, and as simple it is just putting out my hands. You can sit with the group, or you can sit against the wall by yourself. Like that's a simple thing. Or you can color now, or you can play this game. So just if they're not wanting to engage, you're still giving them the choice, but it's really controlled over what you want them to do. And then I think we talked about this last year, but I would keep the 3 strikes you're out policy. So if a kid is struggling, then you have 3 chances to make good choices. And then each time he doesn't or she doesn't, then you'd say that's 1, that's 2. And then remind them when you get to 3, I have to call your parents, and your parents have to sit in here with you and we have to talk this through. So then if they get to 3, you can have the parents come, have your other volunteer go get them if they know who they are. Or you can talk to one of the security people and they can help you. And then I would have the parents come and I would tell them what's going on, and then you should have them stay in the room for a while. I don't think it's a good idea to have them removed, because then you're rewarding the negative behavior, and they're getting what they want. So you have to make sure it's still somewhat of a punishment, and that parents are supportive and they're all on the same page as far as this is the task that you need to do and you can't leave until you do it. So that's something you can do. I don't think you'll have to ever get to that point, but just a tip if you do. And then another thing is, if a kid is being unsafe, you need to think about how to safely, like especially on the chairs, sometimes they climb up or things like that. You have to remember that you don't want to leave marks and you don't want to hurt a kid. So the best way to do it is to hug them, like wrapping your arms around them. Don't ever yank on their arms or their wrists, because you could pop something or leave bruises and things like that. So hugging them and kind of removing them, or if you need to, kind of carry them underneath their armpits. So you could slip your hands underneath their armpits and carry them that way rather than yanking on them. So again, shouldn't have to do that, but sometimes I know they climb on there and you ask them to stop and they don't. So then you would say, I'm going to have to take you down, and then carefully do it under their armpits or hugging them. And then 2 more tips here. Thanks for staying with me. Another one is just have fun. Don't forget that you only have a short time with them, and you only serve once a month typically. So you're not going to fix all the behaviors, and you're not going to, get everything accomplished someday. So just remember, have fun, and your ultimate goal is to love on them and to show Jesus' love. So if you don't get to all the parts of the lesson, that's okay. Just loving on them, having fun with them, making it a joy to be there is the number one goal. Two, just remember to, like, any behaviors that the kids are having, behavior is a form of communication, and we don't often think of that, but they're communicating something, whether they're tired, they're hungry, they don't feel well, they're feeling ignored, they're bored. Those are all forms of communication. So sometimes when they start to act up, think to yourself, what do they need? And it might be a simple thing. You pull them to the side and say, hey, I notice you're doing this. Is there something you need? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Not feeling well? What's bothering you? And just making that connection with them helps them recognize that, and then you can quickly get to the solution to the problem. And then the number one quote I think is helpful for us to wrap up here is, kids don't care what you know until they know you care. So make those connections with kids. I do always, when I start my group, when I do attendance, I always do a fun question like, what's your favorite candy? What's your favorite color? What'd you do this week? Something like that, just to get more personal. And then where you kind of find out, oh, they like this, and then have a conversation like, oh, they like dinosaurs. What kind of dinosaur do you like? And try and build that connection, because once they know you care, then they're going to listen to you a lot more and respect what you have to say. So again, I'm Kristen Kapuzinski. If you need any more help or have any questions, or you want to come observe me, or you want me to come help you sometime, I totally would love to do that. So just reach out, and hopefully these were helpful. Thanks.
Thank you for watching these videos, for being a part of Lighthouse Kids, our kids classes on Sunday. Thank you for making it this far, these videos, if you made it this far. If you're a nursery worker, there's one more part for you to watch. But hey, if you have any questions, concerns, love to talk to you, our staff would. And so thank you again, praying for you as you serve on Sunday mornings, and excited for you to love our kids and to help them to see the light of Christ and then be the light of the world. For those of you who are volunteering in our nursery, you get some special extra video time here. Attention, because there are some unique special things to working in the nursery. You have your own nursery manual. So encourage you, please read through this, make sure you know some of the changes and things you are expected to do in our nursery. Our nursery is meant to be for kiddos who are under 4, not potty trained. And so you get to be kind of a helper to us to know when a kid is ready to move up by talking to the parents and families, ready to go to that pre-K room when they are potty trained maybe, or 4, or in school, preschool, pre-K, whatever that is. But a couple things here I want to just point out on this manual. One, each parent should receive a optional diaper bag sticker. Please be aware of that. If they have a diaper bag and they have a sticker, that you know who has the right bag and food or snacks or drink sippy cup, and make sure you get that back to them afterwards. Also, at checkout time, please follow kind of our tablet checking out, looking with our name tags and numbers. I know we're not a huge church, and it may seem strange to, oh yeah, I know you, I know your kid. But we have new families all the time. And so please, for safety reasons, just use the number, use the sticker, and use the tablet to check them out. If a parent or guardian has lost their sticker, please, you can contact safety team or staff, or have them tell you the phone number on the child sticker, or might have the address on there too. We want to limit also non-volunteers in the nursery. If you have kids yourself that are older, or nursery kids' siblings, we want to make it just a safe, clean, fun place for just our nursery kids. And so if you can kind of limit anybody that's not been background checked or volunteering that Sunday to not be in there, that'd be really helpful for us. You know, one of the things, a role for you, this is on page 3, the role of the nursery volunteer. I want you just to make connections with the babies, but with the families, the moms, the dads, the grandparents that bring them in, and make them feel welcome and you're there to care for them and safe. We're hopefully going to have these care cards for you to fill out during the time they're in nursery to let the parents know if you changed a diaper or if there was a owie or just how their time went in nursery. So you can kind of talk to them and explain how things went and just kind of build that connection with them. One new thing too I want to encourage you in is to have the kids and volunteers take their shoes off in the nursery time. I encourage you to wear socks, but our babies are crawling around, they're putting things in their mouth, and so if somebody comes in with muddy shoes or boots or dirty, our kids are crawling around in that. We vacuum and clean pretty often, but that's just going to help us if kids, volunteers, take their shoes off and just wear socks in the nursery. Also be aware of kind of emergency evacuation stuff, how to take our kiddos out of there safely, having a roster with you at all times. Please walk through this on page 4, especially about 2 people, emergency stuff, cleaning stuff in here. And in our day and age, we have lots of kids with allergies. So be aware when talking to families. It should say on their stickers if they have allergies, but you might just ask parents or kids and write that down for us. We don't have it somewhere, and we'll put it into our system. So when you're getting snacks or, just be cautious with that and maybe talk to parents first about giving any kind of snacks or things to kids. The last thing I wanted to point out in this manual for you nursery workers is our ratios. We're going to try to have 3 volunteers in the nursery at all times. And if you find that you are overwhelmed in there with maybe crying kids or too many kids, please contact the safety team that's walking around or a staff member, and we'll try and get you somebody else to help out. But please let us know. We don't want to just leave you guys helpless in there, but to give you all the help you can get.